Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the new Shadow variant of Archeops in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon just got released, and honestly, this Pokemon had already before an insane attack stat comparable to Rampardos. It has 208 in the attack stat, which is absolutely ridiculous for the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is going to hit even harder now. One issue for this Pokemon might be the charge moves, which are not really the hardest hitting moves usually, but you're gonna see here throughout the video that even resisted or like neutral damage from something like an Ancient Power is going to be quite insane. Like honestly, like it is doing so much damage here. Shadow bonus onto a Pokemon that's already insanely attack rated is kinda cool, and we saw it already with something similar like Sneasler, but I think this Pokemon even has more attack than Sneasler, which is even ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna see here a team that I like to play, or like a core that I like to play a lot, which is the Virizion, plus actually another fossil here with the Amura/Auroras here, of course. But what you're gonna see as well in the first battle is going to be the Dragon Claw damage of an Archeops against the Zygarde complete form. So we are running our little flying chicken here against Zygarde, who someone went on to over 200 roots for, which is kind of hilarious, and we nearly beat them there as well. And now it comes down to the final Pokemon, which I think we saw already. It is going to be that Scaladurge, and it comes down to base. It literally just comes down to base here. We're going to decide to use a shield here straight away onto the Shadow Ball. We have the potential of nuking them away straight away with a 1 Media Beam, but also we're going to have a good bait move with a Weather Ball on us. But also this battle is going to be even a little bit more tragic later on, which we're gonna see here. We're gonna be able to go ahead and go for that most likely Weather Ball. No, we're gonna go for the Media Beam to try to actually knock them out straight away. But I make a little bit of a mistake here as well. I'm gonna swap out and I go for the wrong move. I thought the Leaf Blade was on the left side, but it's actually the Sacred Sword, which is kind of silly because what you're gonna see now as well, the opponent decides to go for the full farm down because they know they win the CMP tie. But if I went for the Leaf Blade instead of that Sacred Sword, we guarantee win this battle, which is just kind of sad. But anyway, the opponent's going to be able to go for the charge move now. They win the CMP tie, and so we're barely going to lose the first battle. I did 2 sets with this team here, which you're gonna see as well in this video. So because I want to make another video later on, I didn't have more sets available, as we already had a video earlier about Conkeldurr, where I went 8-2 with this Pokemon. So gonna check out that video as well. You're going to be linked in the end card. Here we're going to have a good lead, you might think, Poliwrath in the lead. It is actually not as good as it might seem there, because the opponent is going to have access to Icy Wind, dropping our attack. And as you're gonna see now as well, the Leaf Blade is not going to be able to do enough damage here against them. In comes another Icy Wind. We are forced to use a shield now. We're going to be shieldless, and they swap out into the Tentacruel, and we don't really have a great answer to this type of Pokemon, because usually water type Pokemon are fine for our lead, but not a poison type. And usually poison type is good for our backline, but not a water type. And so this is basically the one core breaker for this team. They also got immediately the attack drop onto us, which is even more annoying. Also, there was still quite a lot of lag here today, which is what it is. We only are 1 week away from World Championships, but who cares at Niantic anyway? So here we're gonna see now Archeops coming in. We're gonna be able to go for the Ancient Power. Let's see if the opponent is going to let the move go through. Is going to be able to knock them out here, which is great. Let's see what's coming in next. Going to be the Ampharos. I can swap out and go for that Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade coming through. Gonna be able to connect and do some decent amount of damage. As I swap out into the Poliwrath, I make a little bit of a mistake here. I should have got a little bit more energy. I think I would have been able to do that, but still we can reach another move here with our Virizion in time, which is lovely. It's still not looking too good. We don't have a shield left anymore, and the opponent is overfarming quite a bit. But they're only having Brutal Swing, so they might be a little bit too scared of going to the Brutal Swing straight away. And as they're overfarming here way too much, we are going to be able to reach a Dragon Claw, knock them out, and Archeops is going to be able to take that game. Well, next opponent coming through, we're going to have Feraligatr in the lead. Lovely lead for us usually, but honestly, again, not even as ideal. And like this is like the issue for the issue with all the water type Pokemon right now. I feel like all of them have some kind of coverage against all of the weaknesses that they have, which is kind of ridiculous. And here, grass type moves are going to be, of course, super effective against them, which they can actually catch on the Annihilate, which is kind of annoying because now we have to go into our good friend the Archeops. But yeah, basically the issue is just that they have access to Ice Beam there on the Feraligatr, and we have to be a little bit mindful with this because it would most likely one-shot our grass type Pokemon there. Anyway, We're going to be forced to go for a charge move here on the 1 HP and a Dream survive from the opponent, which I wanted to avoid, because then I would have had 2 charge moves now for the opponent's Feraligatr. But at least I can still get a 1 move off here, which is going to be that Dragon Claw Showman for the Ancient Power instead, but doesn't matter, they're going to use a shield anyway. The opponent decides to go ahead and go for their last move here, going to be the Ice Beam, and with it we're only going to have our Auroras against the Feraligatr, and honestly with a Poliwrath lurking in the back, there's nothing I can do. Next opponent, we're going to have the Annihilate, and honestly, like, this is the thing as well with this team, which was just kind of annoying for the video as well. Like, I got hard-rolled 90% of the time, which is what it is. We're gonna have so many Annihilate bleeds here today. We had so many hard-rolled matchups there in the back as well, like so many Feraligatr that were completely walling our backline, which is kind of unfortunate. But that's what it is. We're going to of course have still some fun here with the Archeops as they're gonna swap out into the Feraligatr. What a surprise. Here's the thing, usually this would actually not be a bad matchup for us because Dragonclaw takes a little bit less energy than the Hydro Cannon would, and so we're going to be able to outspeed the opponent. The issue is Archeops is so squishy that we cannot actually even take the Shadow Claw damage from the opponent. We can go for another Dragonclaw here, getting a ton of damage onto them, but we are not going to be able to even survive another move there from the opponent, so that is going to be not great for us. Hydro Cannon coming through. We are gonna leave them here with a 1 HP, and now it's down to our Auroras to win the battle. Let's see what they're going to have in the back. Can we still come back from this one? There's going to be the Drapier. That is not a bad matchup at all. We can go for the Media Beam and try to get the attack boost on to our Pokemon. It is going to be quite a difficult one. Maybe the opponent expects a bait here. Let's see if they're going to use a shield or not. It is going to be a shield coming up, which is going to be great at boosting our attack here, and they're still going to have in the back that Annihilate. And so we use a shield here on the crunch, thinking that the opponent doesn't have enough energy to go for anything other than a Night Slash, but they actually had so much energy that they can go for a Shadow Ball and just knock us out. Honestly, was kind of surprised about the amount of energy that they had on the Annihilate, but honestly, here we're gonna have Annihilate up against us again a hard wall in the lead matchup there, and yeah, Annihilate is definitely the worst possible Pokemon to encounter for this team, I would imagine, because our lead going to struggle a bit against it, our Pokemon in the back kind of struggles against it, and here they're running Shadow Ball as well, doing a ton of damage against us, but at least we're gonna be able to get them into a range where I can hopefully farm them down with the rest of my team. I can go to the Archeops and get a lot of damage onto them, putting them with that in farm down range for also the Auroras, which is great. Then you're gonna get out that Feraligatr again. Trying to go for the Dragonclaw bait is going to help us out hopefully by getting that shield, which is great. Actually most I should have let the move go through here, by the way. I feel like this might be a little bit of a mistake, but then again, we are so low already on health onto our Virizion that it might be the better play to just play it like I did here. I'm gonna try to go for another Dragonclaw in time, which I can't again, and it's just kind of the silly thing about Archeops. It is just a little bit too squishy to do anything. But yeah, here I'm gonna try to hope that they go for the Ice Beam, which, spoiler alert, they don't. And they're going to have the green in the back, and so like, I don't really see the point here of playing this out for any longer, because there's not a lot that I can do here. I can still try to go for the Sacred Sword, but this does not even work either, because they're going to outspeed me, and so this is going to be a good game, and we can move on to the next opponent. Hopefully this one is not gonna be another Annihilate lead. No, 3 times in a row here Annihilate in the lead, which is just going to of course impact those matchups. Like, this is the thing as well. If you're gonna get hard-rolled the entire time, you cannot really expect that you're going to have great results with a certain team. But as you can see, the opponent is going to decide to go for a charge move, and it's going to be the Ice Punch, being super effective against us. Not ideal. We can go for the Leaf Blade and at least get them around at our health range here right now as well. And they can swap onto the Archeops. Of course, we have to use a shield here, and Ice Punch is going to knock us out for sure with the low amount of defense that we have on this Pokemon. Then comes the Jellicent, and honestly, I was kind of curious on how much I can do against this Pokemon, because yeah, literally, like, this Flying Chicken here is not going to be able to usually do too much damage with something like an Ancient Power, but honestly, with the Shadow Boost, with the insane amount of attack, it might be the way to go. Let's see, we can go for another Ancient Power here. Do we get the shield from the opponent? Do we get the damage onto them? Let's find out. It is going to be the damage and the defense and attack boost, which literally doesn't matter, and would have been great before, because then we would have knocked them out, but it is what it is. We're going to be able to go for the Leaf Blade here. they can go and use a shield if they want to. Very likely they're gonna let the move go through, exactly. And now it's down to our Auroras, but luckily they're going to have the best possible matchup in the back there with the Pidgeot. We can go for the Weather Ball as they are not debuffed yet, if they even want to debuff us. And so we are going to be able to take a move here. It's going to be the Brave Bird actually doing quite a lot of damage against us. And in comes the Annihilate, which we can fully farm down. And with all the energy, the opponent decides to forfeit. Next opponent coming up, horrible lead again. We can swap onto the Archeops. We have the super effective Dragon Claw here, which they are going to be able to catch with the Registeel. And here's the thing as well, what you're gonna see here next is something where I was thinking I might have, maybe should have played a little bit differently here, but I don't know if it really would have helped me. What you're gonna see is the Ancient Power coming through, getting the boost here. And I was thinking, with all the attack that we have, with all of the boost now that we have as well, would have been smart to maybe use a shield there and try to just align myself, but at the end of the day, I don't think it would have been smart, so I rather play it like I did play it here. And now I'm just gonna try to get some extra energy on my Virizion, because I know basically the only way where Virizion is going to have any play is if I can snipe the Pokemon from the opponent, whatever they have in the back, because I know I'm gonna get ended up here against the Giratina again. Like honestly, like I got hard-rolled nearly all the time with this team, which is kind of sad. But in comes here again the Greedent. We're going to be able to take the Crunch. They have, of course, the option to debuff us. But yeah, the only play that we have with Virizion is here that we can go for a Sacred Sword eventually against that Greedent. This would be the only way of us having a chance here. But let's see if this is going to work out for us. In comes the Crunch from the opponent. We're going to use a shield onto it this time around. Maybe could have let the move go through as well. We didn't get the debuff, and so we're gonna use no shield on this Crunch at least. We don't get the debuff again, which is quite lucky. And we can go for the Meteor Beam, trying to get the final shield from the opponent, which we can. And now it's all free for that Sacred Sword, and we can perfectly catch the move here, which is horrendous for us. Because like this, the opponent is going to be able to swap out, and now it's down to Giratina against a Pokemon that has Grass type moves and Fighting type moves. And so, yeah, we barely do any damage against Giratina. But don't underestimate the damage that we're actually doing here, because this is going to put them kinda into range for Weather Ball, and this is going to be something that I've already stored. And so, as you're going to see here, Leaf Blade is going to end up, they're still going to go for their own charge move for whatever reason, I don't really know. Most likely they know that there is no way that they can get another move off. And so we are going to be able to go for the Weather Ball, knock them out here against them, and this is going to be kind of okay for us because we still have a shield. And we have to try to go for the Meteor Beam here to do the most amount of damage. It's going to be enough to knock out the Greedent. Now let's find out. It is not, and so sadly, we are gonna go down here as you have one shield. The opponent is going to survive with perfectly like 1 HP here, and this is, yeah, kind of just unfortunate, honestly. So we can move on to the second to last battle. So Titan in the lead, that's actually going to be kind of neutral lead. It's not going to be a great lead, it's not going to be a bad lead. We can just go for the Sacred Sword. They have access to, of course, Power Snow and Avalanche being super effective. We have access to Double Kick and Sacred Sword being super effective. So it really depends on what the opponent wants to do here. In comes Avalanche, and also the opponent is going to decide to swap out of here, catching the move onto Tapu Fini. Great play by the opponent, allowing them to take a Sacred Sword here, which is resisted, but also they're going to be forced to take some Leaf Blades next as well, which is going to be great for me because this is going to be able to deal a ton of damage, and I don't want to face Pokemon with my backline. Something new that I learned here today as well is that Tapu Fini actually has more attack apparently than Virizion, which I was not aware of at all. Like I thought the entire time that Virizion is a bit more attack weighted, but apparently Tapu Fini is more attack weighted than a Virizion, which I honestly still cannot really believe, to be fair. Like I literally did not think that this would ever be the case, but let me actually check it on the site on how the difference is, as we're gonna try to go for the Sacred Sword against this Titan. We are still gonna be in an okay spot here, but as you're gonna see, the opponent is going to be able to now show the final Pokemon being the Feraligatr, and it's literally the core breaker for the team, where there's not a lot that I can really do about it. And so we are sadly gonna go down here now. There's nothing that I can do, and the opponent is going to be able to knock me out with the Hydro Cannon. My only hope here is that I can maybe get the shield from the opponent first, then go for the Meteor Beam, but the opponent still has some Pokemon left, so like, there's nothing that I can really do here, to be fair. And we're gonna move on to the next opponent. This is going to be the final battle, and as you're going to see already, it's ×3 speed, because again, we only have like 2 sets that we can do here, because I want to do more videos later on. I was even waiting out for the opponent a little bit there, but the opponent kind of left, but I can still kind of showcase here the damage output that we can do with our Archeops, which is kind of cool. Also, Tapu Fini has 1.7 more attack than Virizion, if it's like the lowest of them all. And as I have a lot of attack on my Verizian, the opponent definitely had to have like a Tapu Fini from a raid as well. So usually you would most likely be able to win CMP type with Verizian unless you cannot trade them a little bit lower as well. But anyway, we're gonna see here just the damage output. We're gonna even get the attack boost, but this is gonna be it for the video. Hope you enjoy it. Later on, we're gonna take a look at Kara Costa as well in the Fossil Cup, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.